What's going on YouTube? Is Chris with NoLimitSquad coming at y'all with a video on the 4 modes of the Isochain. Let's get into it. First, I want to start with this. Technically, there's a 5th mode, a feedback mode. I don't really count this as a mode. I know in the book it does. If you turn this on real quick and you pull at the loading ring a little, when you pull at it like that and the numbers fluctuate, that's feedback mode. So as the name implies, you're just getting feedback on the forces that you put on this loading ring through the chain, just like that. That's the first mode. The second mode is max mode. This is a mode that I use not too often now, but on the first day I used it for every single lift. The reason I use that is because I had no idea what my strength was, so I pushed with everything, or pulled with everything I had, and then saw what the number was. So right, so I just, without even hitting anything, right, when you turn the machine on, it'll look like this first. Okay, all right, as soon as you start pulling, you'll notice some force. See, look, out of that little pull I did with my finger here, the max amount of force that I just exerted, if you press the max button here, hit it, and 20.8 was the maximum amount of force I just applied with my hand there on here. Okay, so with the max mode, it's good for getting your initial numbers, or I guess if you want to test against your friends. I'm sure there's more applications for it, but those are what I've found so far. Okay, so when you want to clear that number out, just hit max again. It'll reset to 0, just like that. Okay, and that's max. Now, what I've been using almost exclusively from day 2 and on for my workouts is load mode. Now, again, with the Sweet 16 routine that I came up with, if you want to see what that is, there's a link up above. Go ahead and click that. So with that, all I do is 1 set of every exercise. So what I do is I hit load mode and set up the weight that I had the day prior and try and beat it. All right, so just to give you guys an example, the 20.8 I just got a couple seconds ago, I'm gonna go ahead and set this up. So all you do, right, is you hit now load. I don't know if you can see that. So it's load, it's right here. So load is right here. Go ahead and click that. And you notice that there's a little L that just appeared, right? So now you just hit the up button. All right, so that's what I had it on before. So I'm gonna bring it all the way down to 20 pounds. Okay, and then it'll blink once and twice, and it'll get set to 0. And you see the L right next to it, so that lets you know it's on load mode and it's ready. Okay, so now all I'm gonna do is pull until I hear a beep. If I hear a beep, that means I exceeded the 20 pounds of force on load mode. And if I continue to hear a beep, that means that I'm continuously applying force over that 20 pounds I just set. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, does that make sense? So that's really good for feedback, feedback mode. All right, it's really good for feedback and progressive overload. Remember, the reason why this machine is game changing is because it has progressive overload in it. Progressive overload, I actually have a video on that too. It's one of my older non-Isochain videos, but you can find a link to that here, okay? But progressive overload is everything in fitness, it's everything. The cool thing about load mode is you can still use max mode on it. So that load that I just hit, what was the max on that? Well, you can still go up and hit max, right? So I'm gonna hit max now. Notice it's still on load mode with the L right there, you see it? So I'm gonna hit max. So on that load mode lift I just did, my maximum was 24.6. It's really useful to have that function intersect into the other one. It just makes tracking everything so much easier. So, and just like with max mode, you just hit max again and it'll reset. Boom, bring it over here. Boop. All right, see the M disappear? Okay, and it's back to load mode. Did you notice that? So you're back to load mode. So now if you want to do another lift, just go ahead and do what I just did before and set it to a different target. Okay, load mode is really simple. Fantastic for progressive overload, okay? The third one is time mode, okay? So time mode functions just a little bit differently. So with time mode, you can set the time under tension and the load, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this same finger pull that I'm doing, and this time I'm going to try and hold that contraction for 10 seconds, okay? So now I don't even have to set a timer, because usually I have the timer on my phone, but you don't even have to do that. So I'm gonna hit time. See, now it says time. You see that? The T in the upper left hand, in the upper right hand corner. I'm looking in the mirror. It's set at 20 pounds. All right, so it's blinking. Now it's set at 20 pounds. Now that's how you set the weight for time mode. To set the time for time mode, you hold the time button. Watch. So here's the time button. I'm gonna hold it. See that? Now the number 6 came up, so it's defaulting at 6 seconds, okay? Now I want to hold my contraction for 10 seconds. So I'm gonna go up to the number 10 and then let go. It's gonna blink twice. There you go. Now the time mode is set to 20 pounds of force, and I have to hold that for 10 seconds. So it's gonna make different types of beeps as long as I'm holding 20 pounds of force or over. Ready? Heard that? So that last one where it beeps for 2 seconds, like that beep right there, that lets you know, that's it telling you that you're done with the workout, okay? So I really like this. I'm not doing any workouts with time mode right now, but I definitely will be in the future. It is fantastic for increasing your muscular endurance. So for example, let's say you're helping somebody move a fridge, right? I'm gonna turn this off for a second. Let's say you're helping somebody move a fridge, and you can lift the fridge up initially, but you know, say you're walking into the house, moving the fridge, and then they're like, hold on, I gotta move this out the way. And you're sitting here with the fridge like, yo, this is heavy, cuz. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta hold it, and it's getting progressively harder, progressively harder, progressively harder. Even though you have the strength to lift it up initially, your muscular strength is there, but your muscular endurance isn't. Okay, so now this helps with that. This helps tremendously with that. If you guys are familiar with martial arts at all, the horse stance, where you're in like a pseudo squat position, just with your legs out, or martial arts in general employs a lot of static contractions. The Isochain is incredible for increasing your muscular endurance so that you can handle situations like that. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to cover is average mode. Okay, so for average mode, what I really like about this is I'm going to use an example, and I'm going to do a demo here. Okay, so for example, let's say you did a lift and you max out at 100 pounds of force, right? So you would think by hitting average mode, by using logic, you think, okay, well, half of that is 50. That's the average out of 100 is 50. That's not true. So with isometric training, this is dynamic tension. Dynamic meaning you're like, it's always going up and down the whole time, or it might just be going up the whole time. So you don't just get a static number like that, okay? It's dynamic tension, okay? So while you're going up, it's kind of going like that, if that makes sense. So you might average at like 62. You never know, okay? So that's what you use the average for. So let's say you do 3 lifts, right? Let's say you do 3 bicep curls, okay? 6-second contractions for 3. So you did 18 total seconds across 3 sets. You want to know, you want to take those 3, all right? And you want to find out, you know, what was the average of those, each one. So let me show you. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull. You guys are gonna see this for yourselves. Ready? I'm gonna pull. and I'm gonna let go. Okay, now I'm gonna hit average, and 17.8 pounds of force is the average that I was pulling that. Now, I was pulling the whole time. I was pulling, but there were forces in there where it wasn't just static, okay, this is 20.8 pounds of force continuously. No, that's not how the body works. All right, it's always fluctuating, okay? So it took the average amount of that force pulling backwards, and that's what that came up with, that 17.8. Average mode really shines when we talk about holding a isometric contraction for a really long time. I'm talking over a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Obviously, if you guys read in the book, the Isometric Manual by Paul Coach Wade, in the book, and this just makes sense mathematically, you're starting at a high angle and you're going down slowly like this, okay? So what that means is that the end of your isometric contraction is never going to be, as long as you're putting 100% into it, is never going to be as high as when you first started it. Okay, it's always going to be a downward slope. Okay, so what that means is the highest contraction, let's just say a bicep curl, you started at 100 pounds of force, and then right at the end of the contraction, it slithered down to like 85. Okay, so now we want to find what's the average of that. Okay, so let's say another example is, let's go back to the example I used earlier with the martial arts horse stance. Let's say you were holding that contraction. Sometimes you got to hold that for a long time. I remember holding that for 5 minutes one time. And it's just like, dude, we get it. Okay, we get it. We have to have strong legs. We get it. All right, but sometimes you want to know, like, you know, the whole time you're fluctuating, your legs are shaking, you know, what is the average amount of force that I'm putting into this lift over this long period of time? Okay, so that's what you use that for. So let's go ahead and do it. And as we're pulling, I'm gonna try and keep this force up. So let's give it 10 more seconds. I'm just looking at the timer on my phone right now, and got 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You saw it go down to 0 a little bit too. I slacked up. All right, so out of that like, what was that, 20 seconds or whatever contraction, I'm gonna hit average. Okay, let me bring it a little here. Okay, hit average. 12 pounds of force is the average that it got, and it's probably because, 1, I hit 0, 2, I didn't have as much pressure near the end of the lift as I did near the beginning. So with that being said, those are the 4 modes. Now, I'm sure that someone might be able to find out more reasons to use these said modes, but this is how they work. So I just wanted to make sure that I went over all 4 of these modes with you guys so that we're all speaking the same language here. And that's it, you know, short, simple, to the point. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more Isochain videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.